Welcome to the Mama Needs a Moment podcast with your hosts, Chrissy and Cindy, co-founders of Her Plus Health Collective, and moms who understand the chaos of juggling it all. But here's the thing, your well-being matters. That's why we're on a mission to change the way moms take care of themselves. This season, every episode features a roundtable conversation, bringing together trusted experts from different backgrounds to talk about the topics that matter most to moms, creating space for more collaborative, whole person care. These episodes are short, meaningful, and easy to fit into real life. You'll hear from our Her Plus expert providers sharing expert insight and real-life tips you can use right away. Learn more about them in our free provider directory linked in the show notes. So take a deep breath, grab your coffee, and let's make these moments count. Welcome to Mama Needs a Moment, and a warm welcome to our Her Plus expert providers who are joining us for a discussion on supporting siblings and balancing needs in multi-child families. We are focusing on the very delicate balancing act of raising multiple children while trying to meet each child's emotional, developmental, and behavioral needs. And this is something that comes up a lot. Before we begin, each expert will briefly introduce themselves and share their area of focus. Our podcast episodes are also available in video format on our YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Thank you for having me. My name is Dr. Carrie Ann Dittner, and I am a clinical and developmental psychologist. I am also the owner and founder of Peak City Psychology in Apex. And most importantly, I am the mom of three boys, so I've had my fair share of sibling issues over the years.
Hi, my name is Elise Davis. I am a licensed counselor and the owner of Present Practice Counseling. I have advanced training in dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT, which really focuses on getting real tools into people for their real life problems. That helps us regulate our emotions and be able to have healthy relationships. I have one daughter and she is a handful, so looking forward to talking about this more.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Winslow. I am a pediatric occupational therapist by trade and the owner of Emerge Pediatric Therapy and the Therapeutic Edge Collective. I have specialized training in sensory processing, executive function, emotional regulation, and really have spent a lot of my time recently really working with whole family systems on addressing each other's regulation needs and how we play off of that. So I'm excited about the conversation today. I have three daughters. And so, yes, also deal with sibling conflicts and looking forward to diving in.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gigi Miller. I am a productivity coach, and my focus of my business, The Organized Life, is working with women and helping them with executive function support and also later diagnosed in life with ADHD.
Hello, everyone. My name is Quinandria Lee. I am a licensed clinical mental health therapist and a former school counselor, always worked in middle school. I am also the owner and CEO of Curated Space Counseling and Consulting. So I work with a diverse population. So I work with teenagers and then through adults. I do not have any children, but my extensive background with working with students and just my background in therapy also lends my expertise in this conversation. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for that. And it's a great segue into my question for all of you regarding sibling conflict and sibling fighting. It can often feel relentless. It does in my house. It is never ending. It started when they were toddlers and now they are both teenagers, and it has not ended. And people are like, does it get any better? And I'm like, don't ask me, because it has not for me in these years. But the arguing, the tattling, the physical space battles, it's often the loudest and most frustrating part of parenting multiple kids. And many parents worry that frequent conflict means they're doing something wrong or that their kids won't grow up close. I have had this feeling so much over the years with how much my kids fight with each other. But what if the conflict isn't a failure point? That's probably a good way for me to shift it a little bit and think of it in a more compassionate way. What if it's not a failure point on my part and my husband's part? What if it's actually one of the most powerful learning opportunities in a family? So what I'd love to talk about now is how can parents reframe sibling conflict as a space for emotional skill building, connection, and long term relationship growth rather than something to simply stop or avoid. And a huge piece of this is what I've experienced in my life in my experience with my family is mediating all of it. And it escalates. It tends to escalate a lot to where it can get physical and it can get really mean language. So I would love to just talk about all of this.
I think the first thing that I tell parents to do, one quick tool that they can use to try to decrease sibling rivalry, is I want to take out names when you're addressing your children. Don't say their name. If they hear their name, they are going to take it personally and they are going to get into these inadvertent roles of bully, victim, whatever have you. So I try to train myself as well as other parents to be like, okay, it's really loud in here. Instead of, Charlie, you are so loud. Train yourself to kind of describe. There's a lot going on right here. Let's figure this out. Come from a place of curiosity and eliminate the names. If you can do that, that goes a long way to lower people's defensiveness. So I think that's one huge thing. And then I think my general standpoint on sibling rivalry is for parents to act as a coach and not a referee. I mean, Cindy, you were talking about, mediating. That's refereeing. You are not going to win. You are definitely not going to win. So I come from a place of coaching. Help me understand your point of view. Help me understand your point of view. What is everybody needing here? And I really invite their active problem solving. And if I'm talking about development, especially for teenagers, they love to have an opinion. They definitely want to give you an idea of what they think you should be doing or the other person should be doing. So I think depersonalization, coaching, and offering an opportunity for them to jump in.
I'll keep circling back to this, I think, but even before you can jump into the coaching, I think a reminder of, I know at least for me, if I am stepping into a conflict that my kids are having, I have to really check my own frustration and like energy level, with all of my responsiveness to it, because it's a big trigger for me too. I just want everyone to be happy. I want us to all work together. I don't want us to be fighting. So thinking about too, as your role as a co-regulator in that and kind of setting the tone. So if you're going to go in to try to, we're not trying to referee, but if we're in there to try to coach, we have to make sure that we're grounded going into that, number one. And then remembering too, these conflicts also typically, there's dysregulation that's happening kind of with the kids, with everyone in that. And so our tendency typically is to use it as a teaching moment, like while it's happening or right when they're coming out of it. But research actually really is against kind of that, like naming it while you're seeing it and like, you're doing this and you should have done this differently while they're still dysregulated. So thinking through, okay, let's get to a place where like we've gone through the cycle, everyone's kind of calm, and really try to get as far away of it as you can, like not like, everyone stopped crying and now we're going to, dive into the teaching part. Really make sure everyone's in a good place where they are ready and regulated to learn. So we can talk about it, we can reflect on it, we can have some curiosity around what we might do next time. What can we do to support each other next time this happens? What was something that was happening you really didn't like? And maybe we can talk about that and how we can kind of work together as a team. We use team analogies a lot in our house. But just thinking about when the coaching is happening and when that reflection is happening, and it should not be while they are dysregulated.
Brittany, that's such a good point. And I will tell you, with my one kiddo, I am trying to teach at the same time, and it does not work. It never does. And I'm always surprised that it doesn't work because you're right, the research does show that when we're emotionally dysregulated, we can't learn, we can't lay down that information. We're so entrenched in kind of where we are in that moment in our emotion mind that we can't think dynamically. And so you're 100% correct that that's really important. I think this is a time that I also encourage people to use the stop skill, which is really like in the moment, like stop means like stop, hands up, like don't do anything. T, you take a time out, like we need to like go to separate corners. We need to take a breath, go get some water. And then, kind of similar to what you're talking about, Brittany, once you have taken that step back, we now have the opportunity to observe as the O, what's happening. It is loud in here, and Charlie was trying to watch TV while somebody else was trying to do this, and we can observe the dynamics that are happening. And P is proceed mindfully. What do we do next? How do we problem solve? How do we move forward? I think in addition to that kind of in the moment stop skill to just take a break, I think we also want to think about the prolonged patterns that we have in families. And that's something that you can do, again, outside of a conflict, to be able to really look at what are these patterns and dynamics between the siblings, between the parents, between the whole family system that's maintaining these cycles of conflict. And there's a really interesting model called the transactional model. And there's actually a YouTube video that I was going to send you all about it by TheraHive that really just talks about how we're interacting with each other and we create these cycles of disconnection. And it is that space of pausing and validating what's happening with the other person that allows the emotion dysregulation to come down, that allows our action urges to soften. And it's like, oh, you get me. Okay. All right, what are we going to do next? So that's a really good kind of tool to be able to use outside. The last thing that I'll say is, Cindy, you were asking, like, does this get better? I will say that my sister and I, so I come from a 2-children home. My sister and I did not get along. It was a mess the entire time as we grew up throughout kind of middle school, high school. We became very good friends as adults because we were able to hear each other and to validate each other, and we did not have to share a bathroom. So there is hope.
Oh, that's so reassuring. Thank you. Do you love our real, unfiltered conversations on motherhood? Help us keep them going.
By becoming a patron, you're not just helping us keep the podcast going, you're fueling meaningful conversations, supporting moms, and helping us bring on even more incredible expert guests. Plus, you'll get access to exclusive perks like behind-the-scenes content, bonus episodes, and a deeper connection to our Her Health Collective community.
Join us today and be part of something special, because every mom deserves a moment. Let's make sure we can keep creating them together.
It is important for parents to stop and regulate themselves, because it could be triggering to hear your kids being in middle of conflict, but it also allows them time to regulate themselves, right? So I know in my household, I am the oldest child, and I have 2 younger brothers. And so my mom would always say, y'all have this amount of time to figure it out, or I'm going to figure it out for you guys. Right. And so it was just like giving us the space where, and usually we did not like the way she would try to help us figure it out. So we're going to figure it out together. Right. And we are able to, whether it's you got the remote, fine, here, because I don't feel like mama coming in here, and helping us figure it out, because then we just want to turn the TV off altogether. And we don't want that. Right. So it is allowing your kids the chance to figure it out. And then if you give them a time to figure it out, and then it's after that time, okay, I'm going to help you guys figure it out. And you might not like my solution to this problem, but even in that solution, it's being fair, but also being consistent. And it's not taking the side of one child, because then that breeds the resentment where it's, oh, you always take this specific child's side in the middle of conflict. Right. So giving them that time, allowing your time to kind of slow down and just, am I being triggered in this moment? But giving them time to figure it out. And then if they can't figuring out, then you step in. You're allowing yourself to step in from a regulated space to say, well, this is going to be the solution. And it's not, maybe not what either of you guys want, but I had to step in and help you solve this. And I'm thinking more of the teenagers on up.
I want to just add one quick thing. So in a DBT, there's different modules, and one of the modules is interpersonal effectiveness. And one, it blew my mind when I thought about how effectiveness means that I actually have a goal, right? Like for this interaction, that I have a goal that I'm trying to be effective to get. Mind blown, right? But in that interaction, even parent to kid or siblings between each other, we've got different goals. Sometimes it is to actually get something from someone or get something to get done. We have a goal that we want to meet. The other times it's about the relationship that we're trying to figure out how to be effective with. And the other time it is about our self-respect. So I think in that time that the parent can pause and check in, what's my goal here? Is my goal to connect relationally with my kids have the siblings to be able to connect? Is their actual goal, we need to get out of the house in 5 minutes, and how can we be effective in getting that done? Or is a space that I need to stand up for my self-respect, be that the parent or the kid? And I think pausing and really acknowledging what is my goal here and how can I be effective, I think then trumps that fairness question, right? It's like, what works and what is my immediate goal right here? And that can really help us orient ourselves towards effective action.
And I just want to jump in and say one thought back to your idea of I want them to kind of get along. Of course, we all want our children to get along, but I want to make a statement about developmental stages, okay? Because I think that's something that gets lost. You know, when my oldest son was in high school and my middle son was in middle school, like there wasn't a lot of kind of shared interest or things that were going on with their own identity that really matched up. So I think we have to adjust our expectations based on developmental stage. They might not be close when they're 15 and 11. That's a big gap, right? Or when they're 11 and 6, that's another big gap. So it kind of evens out like in adulthood, not only what Elise was saying about kind of like we're able to have this self-awareness and better conversation skills and, you know, being more in tune to each other. Sometimes they just might be too far apart in their development. So keeping an eye on that too.
This is a very empowering conversation because I think as we move through this, as I hear everybody talking, what I'm hearing everyone say is it's not going to happen overnight. We have to put it into practice, but there are skills that we can teach ourselves and our children and our family unit as a whole that we can implement in the home and practice regularly it might not solve it immediately, but to develop those skills so that over time, our children are able to be in a relationship together and hopefully, like Elise, have that friendship as an adult with their sibling. And I think that's a very empowering way to approach this. And there's a really important point there also about the developmental stages that you just made, Dr. Carrie Ann, about understanding that this is somewhat inevitable. It would be kind of weird if you walked into a home and there were siblings that never fought. That would be kind of creepy, to be honest. I mean, I know it's an ideal, but it's to some degree supposed to be what happens in a sibling relationship. But there's an opportunity to teach there. And the power of regulating ourselves in that parent role is very, very important. I'd love to turn us now to a conversation on the regulated parent, because we've been talking a lot about regulation of our children, regulation of ourselves, but it's so important to prevent burnout in these multi-child homes. Parenting more than one child is physically demanding, it's emotionally exhausting. You're holding competing needs for all of these individuals in your home, managing constant transitions, and often regulating multiple nervous systems all at the same time. Many parents feel overwhelmed, short-tempered, or depleted, and then feel guilty for feeling that way, as we've already touched on. I'd love to dive into an honest conversation about parent regulation, burnout, and what it really takes to stay grounded when the demands feel nonstop. How can parents support their own emotional regulation and prevent burnout around parenting while meeting the complex needs of multiple children?
Be sure to come back for our next episode, where you can get more information from our Her Plus expert providers in this current roundtable discussion on supporting siblings and balancing needs in multi-child families.
That's a wrap. You carved out a few moments just for yourself, and that's a big deal.
We understand that time is limited, but we've got your back, which is why we keep these episodes short, sweet, and packed with goodness.
Don't miss a thing. Hit the follow button so you're always the first to know when a new episode drops. If you had as much fun as we did, let us know by leaving a review.
And remember to let other moms know that we're here doing motherhood alongside you. Grateful to share a few moments taking care of you.